Chosen one. This is why you're in danger on Monday. There is something no one has told you, something that has been operating beneath the surface of your life, invisible yet consistent, shaping your outcomes without your knowledge or your consent. And the fact that you're watching this right now, not yesterday, not tomorrow, but today, is not a coincidence. The universe does not deal in coincidences when it comes to people like you, people who have been set apart, people who carry something different in their bones, in their bloodline, in the very fabric of their purpose. You are what many traditions across thousands of years have called a chosen one. And because of that, Monday is not just another day for you. Monday is a battleground, and you need to know what's coming before it arrives. Let me explain what I mean, and I want you to stay with me because this is going to go deeper than you expect. Every week follows a rhythm. Sunday is the day of reflection, rest, spiritual alignment. It is the day when the soul breathes. It is the day when people who are tuned into something higher tend to feel most connected, most at peace, most certain about who they are and where they're going. And then Monday comes, and something shifts, something drops, something pulls at you. That feeling you get on Monday morning, the weight, the anxiety, the sudden flood of doubt. You have been told your whole life that it's normal. You've been told everyone feels it. You've been told it's just the Monday blues, a cultural joke, something to laugh off with a coffee mug and a meme. But what if it isn't normal? What if what you feel on Monday is something fundamentally different from what the average person experiences? What if that weight you carry into the first day of every week is not weakness, but warfare? Here is what spiritual traditions, ancient texts, and the testimonies of countless people who have walked the path of purpose before you all agree on. The closer you get to your destiny, the more resistance you encounter. This is not poetic language. This is a law as real and as reliable as gravity. The apple does not struggle to fall, but the rocket fights every inch of its ascent, and you are a rocket. You were never meant to fall. You were built to rise, and everything that opposes rising will come for you with particular ferocity on the day that most people treat as a fresh start. Because for you, a fresh start is a threat to the forces that want you to remain exactly where you are. Think about the last 10 Mondays of your life. Not casually, really think about them. How many times did something go wrong at the start of the week that threw everything off? How many times did a phone call come in, a message arrive, a conflict erupt, a plan collapse, an emotion rise up inside you so powerfully that you could not function the way you needed to? How many Mondays have you started with fire in your chest and ended on your couch wondering what happened to the version of you who woke up with a plan? This is not bad luck. This is not poor discipline. This is pattern, and pattern is always pointing at something. The ancient Egyptians understood this. The scribes of Babylon understood it. The mystics of medieval Europe understood it. Every culture that ever placed significance on sacred time knew that certain days carried certain energies, and that the beginning of a cycle, the threshold moment, was always the most spiritually charged and spiritually contested. Monday sits at the threshold. It is the hinge between what was and what will be, and hinges are exactly where pressure is applied when something does not want a door to open. You need to understand who you are before you can understand why you are being targeted. I do not use the word targeted lightly. I use it because it is accurate. There is a version of your future that is extraordinary. There is a life that has your name written on it, a contribution that only you can make, a level of impact that would alter the trajectory of everyone around you and ripple outward in ways you cannot yet calculate. You carry gifts that are not entirely of your own making. You have sensitivity, perception, the ability to sense things before they happen, the tendency to feel the weight of the world even when the world has given you no direct reason to carry it. You have been called too much. You have been called too intense, too emotional, too idealistic, too serious, too ambitious. And the people who said those things were not trying to hurt you. They were telling you, without knowing it, that you were too much for the life they had accepted for themselves. You were never meant for ordinary, and ordinary knows it. The danger on Monday is not external in the way most people imagine danger. It is not a car accident waiting to happen or a phone you need to be careful not to drop. The danger is subtler, more elegant, more insidious. The danger is distraction. The danger is discouragement delivered in the form of a slow morning, a string of small inconveniences, a conversation that drains you, a memory that resurfaces without invitation and plants seeds of doubt about your worthiness. The danger is the accumulation of tiny defeats that, by noon, have convinced you that today is not the day, that this week is not the week, that maybe you were wrong about what you thought you were building. Let me tell you something about the chosen one that the movies always get wrong. In every story, the chosen one is recognized by others, lifted up by a mentor, handed a weapon or a gift, shown their destiny in some grand revelation. In real life, the chosen one is rarely recognized. In real life, you do not feel chosen. You feel tired. You feel overlooked. You feel like you've been pouring yourself out for years, and still nothing has cracked open the way you believed it would. You feel like maybe everyone else sees something in themselves that you can no longer see in yourself. This is the real test, not the dramatic battle, not the moment of crisis that makes for good cinema. The real test is the Tuesday after you failed the Monday. The real test is showing up again when no one is watching and no one is cheering and no evidence has appeared yet that any of it is working. And the reason Monday is so dangerous is because Monday is where that test begins every single week. Monday is where you find out who you are when the inspiration of the weekend has faded and the actual work of your purpose demands to be done. This is why your enemies, and I mean everything in the universe that opposes your ascension, every force within and without that wants you to shrink and settle and forget, this is why they concentrate their effort at the start of the week. They do not need to destroy you. They just need to delay you. They just need to interrupt the momentum. They just need to make Monday hard enough that you never quite build the rhythm that would carry you somewhere irreversible. Now I want to talk about something most people in this space are afraid to say directly. There are people in your life, good people, people who love you, who are also a source of danger on Monday. Not because they mean you harm, but because they are carrying their own wounds and their own limitations, and those wounds and limitations have a way of projecting outward. The person who calls you Monday morning with a crisis, the family member who somehow always needs something urgent at the beginning of the week, the friend who, consciously or not, pulls you into their gravity every time you seem close to lift off. These are not villains, but their timing is never accidental. The universe will sometimes use the people closest to you to test whether your commitment to your calling is strong enough to coexist with your love for them, whether you can hold both, whether you can be present for the people you love without surrendering the altar of your purpose. This is one of the hardest balancing acts of the chosen one's life, and it plays out with almost mechanical regularity at the beginning of the week. You have a choice every Monday that most people do not realize they are making. It is not the choice between working and not working, between being productive and being lazy. Those are surface-level choices. The deeper choice, the one that actually determines the shape of your life over time, is the choice between showing up as who you are becoming or retreating into who you have been. Every Monday presents this fork in the road, and the forces arrayed against your greatness know that if they can get you to choose retreat often enough, eventually retreat becomes your identity. Eventually, you stop believing that the other road exists. I want to walk you through what spiritual warfare actually looks like in a modern context. because I think many people dismiss this framework because they associate it with religion or with superstition. But you do not have to believe in anything supernatural to recognize that there are forces, psychological, social, energetic, that operate in patterns that seem almost intelligent in how they attack the specific points of vulnerability in a person's life. Your specific points of vulnerability are tied to your specific calling. If you are called to create, the attack comes as creative block and self-doubt about your talent. If you are called to lead, the attack comes as conflict and isolation and the feeling that no one truly follows or trusts you. If you are called to heal, the attack comes as your own unresolved wounds rising up to consume you. If you are called to build something, the attack comes as practical chaos, money problems, logistical nightmares, the sense that the material world is conspiring against your vision. And all of these attacks intensify at the beginning of the week, when you are most in need of clarity and forward motion. This is why protection on Monday is not passive. You cannot simply wake up and hope that Monday goes well. You cannot stumble out of bed, check your phone before your feet touch the floor, scroll through the noise and the outrage and the highlight reels of everyone else's life, and then expect to move through your day with the kind of anchored intentionality that a chosen one requires. Protection is active, it is deliberate, it is the first hour of Monday morning being treated as sacred territory, a threshold ritual, a declaration before the day has a chance to declare something over you. What you consume in the first hour of Monday is a prophecy. If you consume anxiety, news, social media, other people's urgency, that anxiety becomes the weather of your week. If you consume clarity, silence, prayer, intention setting, a physical practice that grounds you in your body, that clarity becomes the weather of your week. The chosen one does not wait to see what Monday brings. The chosen one arrives before Monday does and sets the table. There is a concept in many wisdom traditions about the spiritual significance of beginnings. The Jewish tradition speaks of Rosh Hashanah, the head of the year, and the idea that how one enters a new cycle shapes the entire cycle. Indigenous traditions around the world mark the turning of seasons with ceremony, because the elders knew that transitions are not just temporal, they are energetic, and they set a template for what follows. Even in secular psychology, there is the well-documented fresh start effect, the research-backed finding that people are significantly more likely to pursue goals and make meaningful changes at the beginning of a new time period. Your ancestors knew this, your soul knows this, and so does everything that does not want you to change. The attack on Monday is not random. It is targeted at the fresh start. It is designed to corrupt the template. If the beginning of the week can be made heavy, uncertain, reactive, and draining, the rest of the week inherits that energy, but the reverse is also true. If Monday morning can be made sacred, clear, intentional, and rooted, the rest of the week inherits that energy too. This is not mysticism, this is momentum. This is how human psychology actually works, and the chosen one who understands this wields it like a weapon. Let me talk about something now that many people who carry the weight of purpose struggle to acknowledge. The danger on Monday is not always outside you. Sometimes the most ferocious opposition you face is internal. It is the voice that says you are not ready. It is the feeling of inadequacy that somehow finds you freshest at the start of the week, when you have had 2 days to rest and reflect, and the contrast between where you are and where you want to be is most sharply visible. It is the pattern of self-sabotage that has been with you so long you mistake it for personality. You call yourself a procrastinator. You call yourself someone who doesn't follow through. You have internalized a story about yourself that is not who you are. It is who you became in response to years of having your gifts dismissed, your ambitions mocked, your sensitivity treated as pathology. And that story rises up most powerfully when you are standing at a new beginning. The chosen one must eventually have a reckoning with the internal saboteur, not by attacking it, not by shaming it, not by white-knuckling their way past it every week until burnout finally takes them down. The reckoning comes through understanding. The internal saboteur was once your protector. It was the part of you that learned very early that standing out was dangerous, that being too much attracted punishment, that dreaming too loudly got your dreams used against you, and so it built a cage around your gifts and called the cage safety. And now, years later, the cage has become the danger, the protection has become the prison. And every Monday morning, when your soul reaches toward its calling, the old protector grabs your ankle and pulls. You are not broken. You are not weak. You are not failing. You are in the middle of one of the most complex inner negotiations a human being can undertake. The negotiation between the part of you that wants to remain safe and the part of you that knows safety is no longer the point. This negotiation does not resolve in a single conversation or a single morning or a single week. It resolves in the accumulation of Mondays on which you choose, one more time, to move forward anyway, imperfectly, incompletely, with the saboteur still muttering in the background, but forward. And here is what I need you to hear with every cell in your body. The fact that you keep showing up despite all of this, that is not ordinary. Most people, when faced with this level of resistance, with this degree of inner and outer opposition, eventually stop. They find a more comfortable story. They lower the ceiling of their ambitions to the height their fear can tolerate. They make peace with a version of their life that costs them nothing because it asks nothing of them. You have not done that. You are here. You are watching this. You are still wrestling, still reaching, still holding onto the thread of a conviction that there is more. For you, through you, because of you. That is not desperation. That is the signature of someone chosen. Now I want to speak specifically about the days ahead, because the energy building toward this particular Monday is not ordinary either. There are seasons in life, and I would argue in cosmic time, when the pressure intensifies not because things are going wrong, but because a breakthrough is imminent. The pressure before a birth is not punishment. The dark before the dawn is not a sign that the sun has decided not to rise. What you have been experiencing, the accumulating weight, the sense of something about to shift, the strange mixture of hope and dread, the feeling that something enormous is on the other side of a door you cannot quite find the handle to, all of this is the signature of a threshold moment. The danger on this particular Monday is the danger of abandoning your post one day too early, of surrendering the field the morning before the tide turns. This is how breakthroughs are missed, not through catastrophic failure, but through exhaustion and timing. The person who quits on Friday of the week everything was going to change. The person who scales back their effort on the Monday before the call comes, that was going to change everything. The chosen one's greatest vulnerability is not the enemy outside. It is the discouragement that comes from a long wait, because purpose does not always move on your timeline. It moves on a timeline that accounts for every lesson you needed to learn, every wound you needed to acknowledge, every relationship that needed to either deepen or dissolve before you were truly ready to hold what is coming. You are being prepared, and preparation is not glamorous. Preparation looks like confusion. Preparation looks like repetition that seems pointless. Preparation looks like being asked to do the same thing again, differently, because the first 17 attempts were building something in you that you could not see because you were too close to the work. Every sculptor knows that the early strikes of the chisel reveal nothing of the finished form. The stone looks like it is being damaged, not shaped, but the sculptor is not confused. The sculptor holds the vision in mind, while the stone holds the resistance in form. You are the sculptor and the stone at the same time. You are shaping yourself and being shaped. And this Monday, the chisel strikes again. The people who will receive what is coming next in your story are not who you used to be. They are who you are becoming. And the becoming requires that you survive Monday. Not just survive it, inhabit it, claim it, arrive in it with the knowledge that the day which looks most like an obstacle is actually the most important training ground of the week. Every professional athlete knows that the hardest day of training is often the day before the performance that changes everything. They don't ask for the hard day to be removed. They have learned to recognize it as the signal that tomorrow something significant is arriving. This is why you are in danger on Monday. Not because Monday wants to destroy you, but because Monday is the day when everything that would keep you from your destiny makes its most organized effort. And most people face that effort without armor, without awareness, without any framework for understanding what is actually happening to them. They think they're just having a bad Monday. They don't know they're in a battle. They don't know that the battle is actually a sign of their significance. They don't know that if there were nothing in them worth opposing, there would be no opposition. Your awareness is your armor. Reading these words, holding this understanding, carrying into Monday the knowledge that the weight you feel is not evidence of your inadequacy, but evidence of your importance. This is how you walk into the fire without being consumed. This is how the chosen one moves through the world, not with immunity to hardship, not with a life mysteriously free of resistance and setback and loss, but with a comprehension of what the hardship is for, with an ability to read the resistance as a map, with the knowledge that the size of the battle is always proportional to the size of what is at stake. And what is at stake for you is not small. I want to say this with all the gravity it deserves. What is at stake for you is not small. I want to say this with all the gravity it deserves. It is the life of everyone your life will touch. It is the children who will grow up in the world shaped by what you choose to build. It is the people sitting in the dark right now who are waiting for the very thing that only you can bring. Your capitulation is not a private matter. Your rising is not a personal luxury. You were chosen because the need is specific, the gap is real, and no one else is positioned to fill it in exactly the way you are positioned to fill it. So when Monday comes, and it is coming, and the weight settles on your chest before you even open your eyes, and the first thought is that it's too much and you're too tired and maybe not today, I want you to remember this moment. I want you to remember that you were told in advance what was coming, that you were given the framework before the battle began, that you walked into Monday knowing it was contested ground and choosing to walk in anyway, not because you had no fear, but because your purpose outweighs your fear, because the people who need you cannot afford for you to stay comfortable, because the version of you that existed before this moment would have been diminished by the comfort that your soul has already moved past. The chosen one does not wait for circumstances to improve. The chosen one improves the circumstances by showing up when showing up costs the most. That is always Monday, every single week. The calendar is not arbitrary. The rhythm of the week is a gauntlet, and at the front of the gauntlet stands Monday, arms wide, asking you to decide one more time who you are and what you are here for. Who you are is someone who was set apart before you could speak, before you developed the vocabulary to name what you felt. You felt it, the ache of something larger than your current life, the sense of being from somewhere different, of seeing things others missed, of carrying questions that the people around you had already stopped asking. That was not your imagination. That was the fingerprint of your calling pressing against the glass of your ordinary life, asking to be let in. And here you are, years later, having let it in, imperfectly and haltingly and with enormous cost, still standing, still here, still choosing. What you are here for is too important to be derailed by a Monday, and now you know it. And now you will carry that knowing into the week like a torch, and the darkness will not be able to pretend that it is not darkness, and the resistance will not be able to pretend that it is just bad luck, and the voice that says retreat will not be able to pretend that it is wisdom. You see it all now for what it is, and sight is the beginning of sovereignty. Go into Monday like you know something, because you do. Go into Monday like you've been told what's coming, because you have. Go into Monday like the day belongs to you, not because it will be easy, not because everything will go according to plan, not because the forces arrayed against you will stand down out of respect for your awareness. They will not. The battle is real, but you are real too. You are more real than the obstacles. You are more certain than the doubt. You are more durable than the resistance thinks you are. And you have been chosen, not for a life free of Mondays, but for a life in which Monday after Monday after Monday you rise, and you choose, and you build, and eventually, inevitably, what you are building becomes undeniable. That Monday is closer than you think, and everything between now and then is training. Do not waste the training by thinking it is punishment. Do not waste the resistance by thinking it is evidence of failure. Do not waste Monday. You were chosen for this. Now act like it.